the headquarters of 6th Army in those days at the Presidio, had military responsibilities all over the area. So it was alive and it was full of people.
It was also increasingly full of people opposed to the war. As the death toll mounted in Vietnam, the war resistance movement was born. The Bay Area was ground zero for anti-war activity, and the Bay Area's military bases were often the target. Many young people staged their own personal protests by resisting the draft. Refusing to ship out, they often went AWOL once they got to San Francisco. Some, like Keith Mather, did so quite publicly.
What prompted you to make this decision?
Being recycled into a company that was bound for Vietnam and knowing that I couldn't fight.
I wasn't going to Vietnam. I told them I wasn't going to Vietnam when I was drafted. No, I'm not going. And I went AWOL 3 different times.
Resistors who went AWOL and were caught were brought to the Presidio to face court-martial by the 6th Army and the commanding general in Building 38. Some, like Mather and Randy Rowland, were incarcerated not far away on the base.
Building 1213, formerly known as the Presidio Stockade.
By 1968, the old pre-World War I stockade was overcrowded. Conditions were bad, and prisoners commonly tried to escape. One prisoner, Private Richard Bunch, was shot and killed by a guard as he fled. His death shocked and angered the other stockade prisoners.
We ended up deciding we needed to do something. We couldn't let it stand. And we started to organize.
The prisoners decided they would stage a peaceful protest during morning roll call in the stockade yard. It was a small action that made big headlines and became known as the Presidio Mutiny.
In October '68, the famous Presidio Mutiny occurred. My office was in a 3-story building, and I looked right down into the exercise yard of the stockade.
It was right in here.
Right about here, yeah.
Yeah. We just sat down. We locked arms, kind of got close to each other.
We started singing "We Shall Overcome." It was the only song we all knew.
It didn't look like a mutiny to me. It looked like some people refused to obey orders.
But General Stanley Larson at 6th Army headquarters in Building 38 decided it was time to send a message. The 27 men who participated in the protest were charged with mutiny, a crime that carries the death penalty.
Of course, we were singing "We Shall Overcome," so, when you think about, the crime, which is sitting on the grass and singing "We Shall Overcome," compared to the possible punishment, which is a capital crime. I mean, from our point of view, we thought it was a little bit bizarre. They were deadly serious.
The charges did not stand. After one of the longest trials in military history, the men were found guilty, but only of willful disobedience.
There's no way I can tell you what General Larson was thinking. I'm sure he was angry, like all of us were, that people took this action rather than serve honorably. I don't think there's any soldier around who has much respect for any soldiers who don't do their duty. And maybe he wanted to make it as a symbol of something.
The whole episode was perhaps a symbol itself of the turning point that Vietnam marked in this country and here in the Bay Area. A new tension now existed between the civilian and military communities that had not existed before.